And like I said, for me, the thing about Bolton is that they are. We know that they're a dangerous team because of what they've done last season, and they're coming to St Andrews, coming to a massive crowd. And they've got nothing to lose, and that in itself gives them a step up. But we know that should not be a surprise to us anymore. We know that we're a target for every team. Bolton will be no different. So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And after a fantastic start to the EFL League One season, Birmingham City are back in action again on Tuesday evening at home to Bolton Wanderers. And in this podcast, myself and Matt are going to preview the game, give our usual thoughts on the teams, the formations, and just a bit about Bolton that you may or may not know. So again, Matt, another fixture just off the back of a fantastic victory against Lincoln just a few days later. Any initial thoughts?
Oh, they're coming thick and fast, aren't they? The international break's over. We've got 3 games in a week. I love it. Look, I'm looking forward to this game. Nice to be back at St Andrews because we were on the road at Lincoln at the weekend. So always nice to get back down.
Well, we've had 3, haven't we? So it's Charlton, Shrewsbury, and Lincoln all away. So we haven't been back home for a little while, have we?
It feels like it as well. I can't wait to get back down there. But Bolton are a strange team. Because we do the score prediction video, don't we, Dad? And I've been tipping Bolton in most of their games for wins and to do well. And at the start of the season, I was really surprised. They picked up a few wins here and there, but they had a really sort of slow, sluggish start to the season, I would say. And some games, they look really good and sharp, and then the next, they're really sloppy, making loads of mistakes. And they have improved in recent form. They've actually won 4 out of their last 5, and they're actually top of the recent form table, which only covers the last 5 games. So recent form tells us they're not actually doing too bad, and they're 11th off the back of their win against, was it Cambridge this weekend, 2-1? Burton, 2-1. I thought they'd be higher up, if I'm honest, doing a little bit better, but they are a decent team. And you know me, Dad, I like to do my research on social media. I like to check out their channels and hear from their fans just to gauge sort of where the club is and stuff. And their most liked comment this weekend off the back of their win, remember a win, was poor performance against a poor team. Play like that against Birmingham Tuesday and they will paste us. So even off the back of a win, Bolton fans clearly seem a little bit unhappy with what's going on. And I think there's a little bit of a playoff hangover maybe going on there.
I was just about to say that.
I think there's a bit around Ian Everett they're not massively happy with. But it seems to me like since the playoff final, Dad, the fans are a little bit uninspired by what they're seeing.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they lost in the playoff final, didn't they, to Oxford? And I think that was a surprise. I think most people expected them to win that. They're clearly a decent team at League One because you don't get to the playoff final. Don't forget, you get to the playoff final by getting to the playoffs first, which is over the whole season. So they obviously accumulated plenty of points last season. They, this season, as you said, they've had a tricky start, and, look at the teams. I'll give you some of their results here because they won their first game away at Leyton Orient 2-1, then drew 0-0 with Wrexham. And you'd argue that's a decent start, away to Leyton Orient and drawing with Wrexham. Then they lost 3 in a row. They lost 2-0 at Charlton, 2-0 at home to Exeter, and a really, really poor 4-0 home defeat by Huddersfield.
There were some poor goals in there as well. Yeah. Really poor goals.
Yeah, and they'd be disappointed with that. And then after that, they've gone on a much better run of form. But if you look at the teams that they've played, and this is no disrespect to the teams that they've beaten, but they beat Reading 5-2, which is a good result. Then they beat Crawley 2-0 away, Northampton 4-2 away, drew 2-2 at Shrewsbury and beat Burton 2-1. I would argue that they're not the strongest teams in League One, but you can only beat the opposition that you put in. So, they've got a bit of momentum there. These will be a dangerous team for us because, like all teams that come to St Andrews at KnightheadPark, they've got nothing to lose. Every team raises their game at our home ground, every team, and Bolton will as well. So we, as a club, as a group of players, have got to be right on it, right from the start, like we have been in, the attitude's been right, but we haven't started very well in a lot of games, particularly at home. That's got to change on Tuesday night. Otherwise, we could get hit for a goal early on again, and that gives us an uphill task, doesn't it?
They are capable of scoring a lot of goals, Bolton. That they are a threat going forward, but they leak a lot of goals as well. They concede a lot of goals. And just before we get into more about them and their team day, Bolton are a big club historically. When I think about Bolton, I think about the Premier League days. Kevin Nolan, El Hadji Diouf, Nicholas Anelka, JJ Kocher.
Yeah.
Because there's been
Sam
this
Allardyce as manager.
Sam Allardyce as
Yeah,
manager,
yeah.
nice that the Reebok, it was the Reebok, I don't know if it still is the Reebok, but it was the Reebok when I sort of knew it at the Premier League level. And there's been some recent tweets about Barclays, man, and Barclays teams, that this was when Barclays sponsored the Premier League. And, Bolton for me are a big Barclays team because they remind me of that era in the Premier League. Not a bad club, good history there. So,
Well, the name of the stadium at the moment is the Tough Sheet Community Stadium.
No, it's not.
It is.
Someone's got to mess with the sheet word of that,
No, it's a Tough Sheet Community Stadium. Obviously,
you even sounded like it then. Yeah, the tough sheet.
But obviously that's whoever their sponsors are. But that's the name. It's much better as the Reebok Stadium. I mean, I'm a lot older than you. I used to know their old ground, Burden Park, as well.
Burden Park, okay.
Yeah. But obviously they've had this stadium, which it's a decent stadium actually. To be fair,
yeah.
That's irrelevant because we're playing at ours.
Exactly. But just I guess a recognition to Bolton's history, and they are a big club in England, historically. But I think the one thing that we're going to have to capitalise, Dad, is their moments of sloppiness, is their lapses in concentration. And again, because I saw Bolton as a team which would be in and around the playoffs, I paid particular attention to them over the last start of the season, over the past couple of weeks. I've seen quite a lot of Bolton, and even their goal they conceded against Burton this weekend, if you get the chance, look at it back. It just epitomises the sloppiness that Bolton have. Really just, it was almost like, when a goal is so sloppy, it's almost in slow motion. It's like the pass goes through, the striker just about gets it, it goes over, it trickles down, then the defender clears it off the striker and back in the net. I just thought, that is almost like a perfect metaphor for Bolton's goals this season. But just referencing my notes here, they do play a 3-4-2-1, but in defensive moments of the games, that does look like a 5 at the back, a bit like Lincoln. They set up with the 3, but in the defensive part of the game, they do play with a 5 at the back. So capitalised on those moments of sloppiness, I think we could be in for a couple of goals this weekend. Sorry, on Tuesday. And they've got a couple of goals in there. They've got Dion Scholes, who scored 5 this season. Cole Dempsey has 3 this season. And as I say, they can score goals. I mean, for me, Bolton have 2 styles of play. They have a style of play where they can be quite possession heavy, ping it round the back, do nice builds up a play, and then they can have moments where they just go really direct. I think they do quite well at reading a game and realising what it needs. And against us, I think they'll be a bit more direct, Dad. But again, if you look at the game against Burton, look at the goals they scored. The first goal, long throw, route 1, over the top, very direct. Striker goes through and scores. We'll have to watch for that. But the second goal, really nice build-up play from the back. A little bit of 1-2 football, beautiful ball down the right-hand side, slots it in and scores. So, again, even if you watch those 2 goals that Bolton scored against Burton just this weekend gone, you can see the different styles of play in the goals that they've scored. So.
Yeah, I think Bolton are a team in this league as well that do try to play possession football. Obviously, we've dominated possession in our games because of the style of play we now play. But Bolton will try and retain the ball, so it's going to be interesting to see the dominance in relation to possession ball. They attack a lot down the right as well, and they're really good at attacking set pieces as well. So they are. We have to watch them. And like you say, when you said about that their long throw, chills went down my spine. Given that we've conceded against a long throw against Charlton, and we did against Lincoln as well. So that's something we've got to be very, very, very wary of.
This long throw was a slightly different for the Charlton game and the Lincoln game. It was more into the box. This was more like in between the halfway line and the byline, and he went through on goal. So it was that kind of long throw, but it was still something to be. It's still something to be very wary of.
Yeah, we do seem to be vulnerable to conceding goals, don't we? But as it happens, we seem to are able, because of our attacking threats and the quality of our team, to score more than the opposition.
A bit like the Barry Fry season, isn't it? As long as we score more than the opposition, it doesn't actually matter.
It very much like that. You mentioned their leading scorer, Dion Scholes. As you said, he's got five goals. Cole Dempsey, you mentioned, he's got 3. John McAtee's got 2, and there's a couple on 1. Last season, Dion Scholes was their leading scorer again with 20 goals. And then they also, because they had a lot of goals last season as well. Then they had John Daddy Bob Fardson, who scored 10 goals last season. He's been released. Victor Abidejo, he's got 10 goals. Paris Magoma, he had 9 goals. He's returned to Brentford on loan. They had Aaron Collins, 9 goals. George Thompson, 6. Basically, there was goals all around that. And there's a few of those players that have gone, but the bulk of them are still there, because they didn't do massive transfer business in the summer. They did bring in a player, a left winger from, I think it's a Hungarian team, Fehérvár, for nearly £1 million. Soblok Sean, I think his name is. And again, if that's pronounced wrong, I do apologise. They brought in a goalkeeper, Luke Southwood from Cheltenham on a free transfer. Scott Armfield as well, really experienced player. He was on a free transfer from Charlotte in the USA. Chris Farino from Wickham. So they brought in a few players, let a few go like all teams, but they are going to be a threat. And I say we can't underestimate this. Impact of teams coming to St Andrews, even what would appear to be the teams that are struggling in the league, they've got nothing to lose by having a go. Absolutely nothing. Can we know what it's like, Matt? If we go a goal down, the teams immediately start to waste time, and they slow the game down, and
they waste time from 15 minutes.
So don't give them a chance to do it. Let's just not let them score. So we've really got to be careful we don't concede goals. I mean, last season as well, this is their record in League One. So they played 23 home games. Won 15, drew 5 and lost 3. Away games, which is obviously their away, they won 10, drew 7 and lost 6. So they had a good away record last season as well. They scored 34 goals away and only conceded 24. So
it's a good record.
Yeah, and and most of these players that they've got were there last season. So it's not going to be once again. It's going to be an opposition that we do need to be very, very mindful of.
Yeah, and I agree, Dad. Everyone that's came to St Andrews this season has upped their game. I think a lot of the fans of teams who have watched their teams as well will have to admit that even managers come in the post-match press conferences and go, "I've never seen my team play like that," or we really stepped it up today, but it wasn't enough, or whatever it might be. So, yeah, can't underestimate that. And my final, I guess, shout out for Bolton here is just a couple of their players who I've been impressed with just in little moments of pockets of games here and there is a guy called Josh Sheehan. He's got 3 assists this season. I think he's a little bit hit and miss with the Bolton fans, depending on formation and sort of getting the most amount of impact from him. But I think he's a really good player in my opinion. And Aaron Collins as well. He's very cool, calm. I mean, if you look at he scored at the weekend. If you look at his finish, very calm, very collected, very good on the ball. And then, as we mentioned, Dion Charles' dad, he's their man who puts the ball in the net. 20 goals last season, 5 this season already.
Yeah.
Definitely have to be aware. But, Blues go into this game full of momentum again. We come off the back of a win at Lincoln and also before the international break, that win at Shrewsbury. So I'm expecting a very good Blues performance just off the back of the momentum and the way we got back into the winning way again.
Yeah, I think it's our best start to a league season, isn't it, ever? And if someone had said to you, play 10 games, you're going to win 8, draw 1, and lose 1, you think, I've got to take that.
Yeah, 100%.
And it is a really good start. We scored 20 goals in already. Wow. That's averaging 2 goals a game. We've conceded 10, so we are vulnerable to concede. But our start is brilliant. I mean, Bolton come to the game in 11th in the table. They have picked up. They had that blip at the beginning, near the start of the season when they lost those games. But they're 11th now on 17 points. So a win will take them, depending upon the results, could take them into the playoff position. So they've got good incentives. And like I said, for me, the thing about Bolton is that they are. We know that they're a dangerous team because of what they've done last season. And they're coming to St Andrews, coming to a massive crowd, and they've got nothing to lose, and that in itself gives them a step up. But we know that should not be a surprise to us anymore. We know that we're a target for every team. Bolton will be no different. So they are capable of winning points on the road. In fact, they've played 4 away games and they've won 3 of them. They beat Leyton Orient 2-1 in their first game away from home. They've beaten Crawley 2-0 away and Northampton 4-2 away, all away wins. The only away games that they've lost is they lost to Charlton 2-0. We know how tough that is. The rest of them, so they're 4 games, that's 3 wins and a draw away from home. So that's a good record away, isn't it? So
you can only beat the teams in front of you, Dad, but you have listed the away teams there, which are in the bottom half of the table as well. Though. So it looks like St Andrews Blues is going to be Bolton's first big
challenge.
Big challenge. No, that sounds disrespectful to the teams they've played. I don't mean it in that way. I just mean, that they are traditionally going to be the lower teams this season. So I think Blues is going to be, their first real big away challenge this season on Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at their fixtures in terms of who they've beaten. So the team placed highest in the league that they've beaten is Reading, who are 13th.
Okay.
So, and then they've beaten Northampton in 19th, Leyton Orient in 20th, Crawley in 22nd, and Burton in 24th.
Right.
They, apart from the 0-0 draw against Wrexham, who are in second, every team above 13th they've lost against.
Right.
But it's a new game. That doesn't guarantee anything, does it? That's just showing you what they've done at the moment. And if we're on our game and Chris Davis has them up for it and focused, we will have enough to win this game, but we still need to be careful. We need, and Blues fans need to know this. We need to respect every opposition because every team is capable on their day of beating anybody. Let's have a chat about Blues and their lineup, okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because this is an interesting one now because there's so many variables now. So let's just give a general overview, okay? Starting in goal.
Has to be Allsop.
Has to be Allsop. Penalty save against Lincoln. He's going to be confident. Played well, actually, outside of that penalty save as well.
I think you said that in the Lincoln Post video. I just want to get this out there because it's really important. That's the most confident we felt as fans in the stadium with the keeper all season, isn't it? That's the game where we've got, I actually feel a little bit confident here. Yeah. So credit to Allsop. He's done well.
He'll definitely be starting. Let's go right back.
I think Gardner Hickman, just off the back of a fitness thing. So Ethan Laird has been injured. And he's going to want to play Hickman, in my opinion. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Laird on the bench and also come off the bench maybe in the second part of the second half.
Yeah, I think that Gardner Hickman deserves his place.
Yeah,
he's done nothing wrong, unless he's injured, but I don't think he is. He was substituted around about the 70th minute, something like that, in the Lincoln game for Laird. But I would go with Gardner Hickman as well, because I think he's done nothing wrong. But I do think that because we've got going thick and fast, I think at some point we'll see Laird back in at that right hand, maybe against Mansfield, but in this game I'll go with Gardner Hickman. Yeah,
we've also got as well. We've got Bolton on Tuesday, Mansfield on Saturday. We've also got the Fulham under 21s the following Tuesday, under 23s, whatever.
Under 21s.
Under 21, sorry, under 21s. So that might be another game to bring. Rotation, all these things. So I agree, Dad. Gardner Hickman right back with Laird possibly coming on.
Okay, and Cochrane I think at left back.
I think it's the only. No need to discuss that further. Is there?
Centre halves.
I think Clara and Davies again.
Why change it? Obviously Bielek's still injured. Sanderson's waiting in the wings. But I thought they looked pretty solid. I mean, disappointing for the goal that we conceded in terms of that throw-in goal early on against Lincoln. But it wasn't just the two centre halves. I think a lot of players were culpable for that. But I think we'll start with Ben Davies and Christoph Clara.
Agreed.
At the in the middle. So then we'll go. Let's start off in the middle of the park. So two central.
Again, if they're fully fit, Iwata and Paik. I mean, is there an argument? 3 games in 7 days to rotate our fitness and not risk injuries. If Iwata did pick something up at Shrewsbury, and he's got not a niggle, but Chris Davies doesn't want to risk him any further. He might decide to swing in Leonard for this game, but I think if he's fit, he's going to start Paik and Iwata.
It's got to be. You've got to pick your best team. Yeah, there is an element of rotation because you're looking at fatigue and injuries and all this type of thing, but it's got to be Iwata and Paik.
The only rotation comes off Iwata's previous little niggle. It wouldn't be rotation for the sake of rotation. It would be just to not.
He looked all right.
He looked fine.
Lincoln.
He did.
All right against Lincoln, but I'd love to see Leonard get more time, but I don't know where he's going to put him. No. So for me, it'd be Paik and Iwata. But do you know what? If Leonard was in there in place of any of those two, I wouldn't be disappointed.
No. Leonard's a championship player, in my opinion.
But I think it'll be Paik and Iwata. So let's go left wing.
So off the back of the game against Lincoln, Dad, 2 goals in the net, I'm going to go with Keshi Anderson on the left.
Okay, that's interesting because obviously against Lincoln he started with Emma Hansen, but Emma Hansen looks like he's going to be injured. He came off and was replaced by Yokoyama actually. In the Lincoln game. So I'm not too sure what the extent of his injury is yet, but it's quite possible that he may not play. So you're going to go for Anderson?
I think I'll go Anderson on the left, yeah.
Yeah, I think I would tend to do that as well. I think Yokoyama will be maybe expecting that he's maybe done enough for a start. But whether Chris Davies has the confidence to play him from the very beginning at the moment, because he is still a young player, and when he comes on, he's very much of an impact player. And Chris Davies might still want that to come off the bench.
Yeah.
But it's changed the game, something's happening. So I think I tend to agree with that. Maybe put Keshi Anderson on the left. And then that brings us onto the right. Then, so if Anderson's not on the right, you're thinking somebody else, aren't you?
Well, this is where it gets interesting because, of course, Keshi Anderson started the game on the right against Lincoln with Hansen on the left. But, of course, with the injuries, it had to all sort of swap over. My immediate would say Scott Wright for the right, but I don't know whether he's picked up a niggle, whether he's slightly going to carry that injury forward into the bottom game. I'm not sure. If Scott Wright's fit, I'd like to see Scott Wright. If it's not Scott Wright, I'd like to see Chris Davies take a gamble and maybe go for Stansfield on the right.
Yeah, that's a good shout because I think we both agreed for the Lincoln game that May was much more comfortable as a number 9.
Agreed.
And I'd like to see May continue as the number 9.
Yeah.
In my opinion, you may disagree with that, Blues fans. That's absolutely fine. And then you think, well, where do we put Stansfield? But that is the place he will be, on the left or the right. I mean, against us, didn't in the Carabao Cup when he scored that goal and knocked us out, he was on the left.
He
for
was.
Fulham. So
And he cut in and scored a great goal.
that's a possible thing as well. But Wright's injury, as far as I understand from listening to what Chris Davis said, it's only a niggle, but it's whether or not he'll be ready, within. And same with Jay Stansfield. You know, that was supposed to be they're monitored day by day. They said so. But this is why this team selection is so tough, because it's all if this available, that available. But I think I tend to agree with you. I'm not sure that Hansen will be available. Therefore, we have to either lose Yokoyama or Anderson on the left, or Stansfield. But I would like to see, when he's fully fit, Scott Wright with a starting place on the right-hand side. And then
I'd love to see Scott Wright get his first start, because up until his injury, he's been fantastic. Every time he's came on, he's had real impact in games, scored a goal or two. And I think he deserves that right spot. And I agree with you. I didn't mention my subs, but I think Anderson or Yokoyama would be a good fit for me on the left as well, which brings into the number 10. And I think we're both going to agree on this pretty easily and hands down. It's got to be Williamson, hasn't it?
Williamson and Alfie May up front.
I agree.
Yeah, so that means then if Scott Wright is fit and starting on the right and Anderson on the left, that means Stansfield will be on the bench.
Yeah.
And that might be a good thing, actually, because if he's not 100% of his injury, it might be good just to put him on the bench, just to ease him back in.
Also, with the link-up play I saw against Lincoln, with Alfie May's assists, do you really want to put a player in just to shoehorn them in because it's Stansfield? Or do you want to go with what's best for the team? And for me, off the back of that performance, why change a winning formula? If he needs to go on the bench, he needs to go on the bench. This is the brilliant thing about the club and the squad that we have. And for me, Stansfield was brought for not just this season, but for the future as well. He's a future player, isn't he?
Yeah.
And Alfie May has the experience of League One. He clearly knows, where the goal is. He knows how to get his teammates in the game with his link-up play. And off the back of what I saw at Lincoln, why change it?
I think as well, it's the stigma of the price tag as well.
Yeah.
People will say, well, you spent X amount of millions, however much it was, nobody knows. But for Jay Stansfield, surely you can't put him on the bench. Well, actually, this is a team game, a squad game. It's what's best for the team and for the squad. I'd like to see both May and Stansfield playing.
I agree. I'd love to see it. Yeah.
But if that affects the mix in the team, then maybe decisions need to be made about who's in my opinion, and this might be sort of a little bit sort of outlandish. May would be my pick as number 9, not Stansfield. I would pick him every time at number 9 and try and bring Stansfield into the game in a wide position. That's what I would do. Because Alfie, he just if he's not in the number 9, he's like a fish out of water, isn't he? And the team's affected by it as well. But
what you've just referenced is so key for me, Dad. Fair enough. I would love to see Stansfield and Alfie May in the same team, killing it, scoring goals. But for me, the word's chemistry. Gel. Yeah. We've been using it a lot this season. Click, gel, chemistry, whatever you want to use. If that's off, even by 0.5%, don't make the change.
Yeah.
There's no need to, because when you saw us against Lincoln, when you saw us against Shrewsbury, there was something there, weren't there? There was a bit of magic, a bit of spark.
Yeah.
Players knew where they were. We were communicating well. We were passing well. We were breaking them down on both these games. So, and by the way, we both love Stansfield. He's absolute. He's the star boy. I'm not. We're not taking anything away from Stansfield here. We're just saying, don't change a winning formula when we've worked so hard to get this click and this gel working this season. If we're beating teams 3-1, why change it?
Yeah, exactly. And there'll be plenty of scope for all players in the squad to get their chance. But Chris Davis's dilemma, he's got to make the right mix.
I mean, do you think that's a question worth asking the Blues fans, though, in terms of getting their opinion on this? Jay Stansfield's coming back from injury, arguably got a niggle, but if he's back, what do you think is the best way to utilise Alfie May and Stansfield? We have done a video on this previously, so please check that out if you want to. But what's after the Lincoln game, after the Shrewsbury game, after seeing the Blues team play a little bit more, what would be your ideal position for Alfie May and Jay Stansfield? Yeah,
it's a good question, isn't it? I think, that's something that must be going through Chris Davis's mind every single day.
Oh, yeah.
About how to do it. Thankfully, we're not in that position. Just on the bench, I've gone for Peacock Farrell in goal, because he was on the bench against Lincoln, which I was surprised about, because I thought he would be out because of he pulled out of the Northern Ireland team.
Yeah.
Samstead, Sanderson, Leonard, Dykes, and possibly Stansfield on the bench.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same. Because we picked the same starting 11. Yeah. So I think the only thing would be the Anderson Yokoyama pick. So depending on who he chooses, I think off the back of the weekend, Anderson's cemented his place in. So I'm odds on Yokoyama will be on the bench.
Ideally, I'd like to, on the back of the Lincoln result, you think we'll just pick an unchanged team, minus the ones that are injured, like obviously Hansen and stuff like that. Pick an unchanged team, because why change it? If it worked against Lincoln, and you're going to have to change something on the left. I think Hansen will be injured.
Yeah.
But why not go for that? And the other players then on the bench then will be brought in as and when they're needed as impacts. But it's an interesting dilemma, isn't it?
It's a good one to have. I mean,
yeah. So just a score prediction before we finish then.
So if you listen to this channel for any period of time, I'm quite conservative with my score predictions. I'm normally a 2-1, maybe a 3-1 adventurous at best, but I don't know. I've got the midweek bug maybe under the lights. St Andrews thinking something a little bit more wild, and I've gone for Birmingham City 4, Bolton 2.
I've gone very close to that, because I think there's to be a lot of goals in this game as well. Because I think they're a dangerous side going forward, or can be.
Yeah.
But they're also vulnerable at the back.
Exactly.
So I've gone for Birmingham 3, Bolton 2.
Okay.
So
very
it's
close.
You've gone 4-2. I've gone 3-2.
We've got a 1-goal swing. I hope I'm right.
Yeah.
Make it a little bit more comfortable.
Do you know what, Matt? I'd take 1-0.
Same.
I'll take 1-0, and 3 more points in the bag.
What game did we have 3-2? Wickham away. Because we've had a 3-2 before this season, haven't we?
Yeah, but 2 could with Peterborough as well.
Peterborough as well. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So odds maybe in your favour there from having 3-2 previously done. But
so I'll go for 3-2. You go for 4-2.
4-2.
But what do you think, Birmingham City supporters? Again, another fantastic game to look forward to in EFL League One, Tuesday night, under the lights at St Andrews. Big crowd. Let's hope we can push the boys over the line to get to 3 more points and keep the momentum going at the top of that League One table. But as always, we'd love to know your thoughts and opinions, and we'd also encourage Bolton fans as well. Let us know what you think about your team and what you think about Birmingham City. Please add a comment below. We're always happy to hear comments from our own fans and fans from other clubs. It really makes the dialogue between fans really, really interesting, and that's what this channel is all about. If you did like this podcast, then don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, then pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And if you like to listen and watch your podcasts on Spotify, you'll also find us on there as well now. And you'll see the handles appearing on the screen for all of these channels right now. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that red subscribe button so you don't miss any future content all about Birmingham City. And myself and Matt will see you on the next video.